Hello, everyone.
Hello, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Happy mid-November. It's exactly halfway through November, the 15th.
I know.
How did that happen?
I know.
It flew. The year flew.
The year has flown. Yes. Just a month and 10 days before Christmas Day, which means that we have to get together and start planning the Secret Santa very shortly.
Wow, yes.
Yeah, so anyway, stay tuned. Sometime within the next week, we're going to have to make a GDG announcement to get the ball rolling on that. But anyways, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Good tomorrow for those down under in New Zealand. So yes, hello, everyone. So did you guys have a good week?
Yes. Catching my breath after WikiTree week.
Yes.
As I'm sure we all were.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
and I'm glad that we did have our segment last week on Saturday. Yeah. Although it wasn't the roundup, but we still gave it our own touch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we didn't lose our essence. We made it ours.
That's right. Yeah. It was a busy week for me as well. I wasn't able to participate as much as in the symposium and the WikiTree week with watching the grandkids and other stuff, but it was. But the exciting news on our home front is that after the ice storm of March, finally our house is sort of back together. Our basement is finished, and all the stuff that was moved out is now back down there. Mostly in boxes that still have to be unpacked. So and we have to figure out, do we really want this stuff back in the house, or is this stuff that we just thank it for its service?
Have you gotten used to like having more space and openness?
Yeah.
Without the stuff. Yeah, that's a good experiment.
Yeah. I mean, our storage area was packed full. You could barely walk in it.
Yeah.
So we're not going to make it look like that anymore. So, but it's not something I would recommend as a way to declutter, because there are much easier ways to do it in a planned fashion.
We'll facilitate an ice storm just to get decluttered.
I know.
Yeah.
No one wants a flooded basement. That's just no fun. Yeah. Anyway, we should say hi to people who are here.
Yes.
So hey there, Rick. Rick from Southern Ontario is here. Amanda from Australia, and Fiordalisi, Evelyn, yes, Jester's here. Let's see. Susie Carta is here. Hello, Susie. Tommy Buck from Louisiana. Yeah. John from Ireland. John Tyner, how you doing? Margaret Tull is here. Click on new comments. Who else is there? DS. Patty Waldron is also here from Ireland. Sue Creer is here. Terry Burks from Columbus, Ohio. And Judy Stutz, cousin Judy Stutz. Oh, nice. So did I miss anyone?
Murray. Yes, Murray Maloney.
Oh, Murray. How did I miss Murray?
Yeah, Doris Lanier.
Yeah. Hey, Murray. Oh, there he is. There he is, Murray. And Doris Lanier. Oh, you know what? When I hit it must have double scrolled or something. Sorry about that. And anyone else I missed, sorry about that. And thanks to everyone who's watching this after the fact. So great. We don't have any other special guests, but I think it's awful special spending my Saturday mornings with these three wonderful people. So I'll just turn it over to Betsy. You're in the top corner. So how about you start?
Okay. It's logical.
We didn't plan this, so they're just at my mercy.
We're being spontaneous today. So, okay, there and right. So our theme this week is the Great War, also known as World War I, which happened in the 1910s, 1914 to 1918. And this question of the week had a whopping 124 responses.
Wow.
I think that might be a record. I know the DNA one had a lot. So I will show you as many as I can, but I can't possibly do all 124. Let's see. First was from Barbara Ruh. And I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Barbara. There were a couple of stories like this where people lied about their age in order to serve. But I think the one that we commonly hear is a young person who lies, inflates their age. But there are variations today that I'm going to share with you. So her great-grandmother's brother, he was American. He went to Canada and registered with the Canadian Overseas Expeditionary Force. At that time, he was 43, so clearly old enough. But to enlist in Canada, he stated he was born in Scotland. Whereas he was actually born in Massachusetts, but his parents and older sister were born in Scotland. So that was... Greg, do you know anything more about the rules for enlistment in Canada?
Yeah, because it was the Canadian Overseas Expeditionary Force, and they were under the British.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
The British arm, anyways. Yeah. And so if you were a Canadian citizen, you would automatically be able to enlist. Yeah. And if you were a member of the Empire, again, it would be easier to do so. But as a foreign national, like as an American, they probably either, I don't know if they refused it outright, or it certainly would make it more difficult.
Yeah.
But if he said he was a member of the Empire because he was born in Scotland, it would have been easy peasy.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Sadly, he died 7 months later in the Battle of Messines in Belgium. Then we have this fantastic photo from Alexis, who always shares weekly her wonderful collection with us. This photo is of her grandfather, Scott Marvin Sr., who was a medic in World War I. Medical Department 42, Company H, and the photo is from 1918. And then she had a number of other family members who served. Two killed in action. Natalie Trott. There's Natalie. So these are two of her grandmother's brothers, and she has this newspaper clipping. New Haven mother has two sons who will do their part in licking Fritz. So she thought, I guess that would be a sign of the times. That way of, and if you read the short article, there's some little colorful language as well, but very difficult, to have two sons both in the service. I know many family had that experience. She doesn't say what happened to them. John Tyner. John said that my paternal great uncle Thomas Goodwin Tyner died in 1916 at the Battle of Somme, age 20. He was in the Royal Dublin Fusiliers. Also, two brothers on my dad's maternal side with the surname Byrne died during World War I. I think so many families were touched. That explains the volume of responses. This wonderful, amazing photo is from Mindy McElliott. She says this was her grandfather. He was a young naval officer on the USS Chauncey, and it was struck by the British steamship Rose off the coast of Gibraltar on November 17, 1917. One of the best parts of his story, in addition to surviving, he was stuck in Gibraltar for a while before they could pick him up. So he was put with a host family, and he learned to bake and sew so that he could contribute to the host family for his keep. And his fellow survivors, they used to have an annual reunion. Also, on the same page, Lisa Gervais, who's part of our Roundup team. Her grandfather served in the U.S. Corps of Engineers, even though he was Canadian. So there's someone who went in the other direction for their service. Now, let's see. Elizabeth Remick. Let's see. This was her great-grandfather and his brother were both veterans of the war. They were self-proclaimed hillbillies from the Oklahoma-Missouri border and were lead and zinc miners. They were drafted in the summer of 1917. And she gives more details about their companies. Henry was discharged in December 1917 before the unit was sent to France because he had contracted TB at the training camp. However, the Spanish flu was also circulating there, and she wonders if that was what he had. His lungs were already compromised from working in the mines, and sadly, he died 5 years later from lung disease. His brother and the inadequately trained division arrived in France in May 1918, and they were thrown into the Battle of Meuse-Argonne against battle-hardened German troops, and they suffered great casualties. Joe was gravely injured, his leg destroyed. He made it home alive, but never fully recovered and suffered from PTSD. These are not glamorous tales of wartime heroism, but they are part of the full story. Very true. And John Baldwin, his answer struck a chord with me because he uncovered more of a story through his research. And this is one of these sort of blink and you'll miss it marriages. If a marriage happens and it's brief, in between the censuses, sometimes you're just unaware. And I know I've uncovered those myself. So this is his paternal uncle. He entered the service in 1917 and he shipped out to France. He was on active duty in France or Luxembourg until the end of the war. Somewhere in either of those two places, late 1918 or early 1919, Dewey met a nurse named Lucy Metzner. They married June 23rd, 1919 in Luxembourg, and then they departed for Brest, which I'm not sure what country that's in. They departed from Brest. On a commercial ship bound for the United States, arriving August 1919. For as yet undetermined reasons, and we may never know, Dewey and Lucy almost immediately separated because there was the 1920 census, and she was in New York City, and he was in his hometown in Ohio as a border marital status divorced. And then Lucy traveled from New York City back to Luxembourg in the fall of that year and never returned. So he says he wrote about it on his blog if you want to read more, but that was very interesting. Thank you, John.
Brest is in France, and it's right on the coast, so it would be a port that they would have sailed out of.
Makes a great deal of sense. Okay. Then let's see. Douglas Story writes, and Douglas is, by the way, is a Newt. Shout out for our Newts. His great-grandfather, Thomas Evans Carr, was an English immigrant to the USA, lied about his age to be young enough to twist. Yeah. He was actually in his 60s, not in his 40s. He had crossed the border and joined the Canadian Army in 1917. He had been in the building trades, so he was assigned to a railway and forestry unit. Upon arrival to Liverpool, he stopped and visited his eldest daughter, Douglas's great aunt. And then he later served in France, where the rigors of war wore his body down. He was medically discharged when it was obvious that he was not in his 40s. And he crossed the border back to the U.S. at Buffalo and returned to civilian life. Sadly, he did suffer shell shock. Spent the rest of his years living with his son. So, and then let's see. And then also on this page, but farther down, I won't spend time finding it. But Betsy Collins, she said that her father served in World War I. He was born he was born in 1892 and did not have her until he was 50. And then she writes, and I'm old. So that's how that math works. And he served in the Corps of Engineers as well as in World War I, as well as in World War II. So how fascinating to have that, have a parent and hear those, because I'm sure, well, he might have told stories. I know it differed from person to person whether they wanted to share. Then last page, another newt, Tristan Mills. All of my great-grandfathers served in the British Army in World War I. One was killed in France a month before armistice. Then another brother died of influenza, well enlisted, newly married. That's very sad. This next one got me as a musician. The third used to be a singer, but was gassed, and it destroyed his voice, according to family stories. And he said, my other great-grandfather's service records also don't survive or are in too bad a condition to tell where they served. And then one of his great-grandmothers also served as a nurse in a military hospital. So, Greg, did you show them your poppy?
I haven't yet.
Yeah. Yes.
But
well,
right there.
Yep.
There it is. There's the poppy.
Right. And my impression had been that was an Anzac Day thing, but is it just generally for it's all observances?
It's definitely across Canada. The poppy is the symbol that we use, and you can get them.
And I like how that was what Eowyn used there.
Yeah. Also in UK.
Okay.
They use the poppy.
Yeah. So the United States and Canada both remember and celebrate survivors and those we lost on November 11th. But Australia and New Zealand, they have Anzac Day on April 25th. So Bruce Denny, also a Newt, shout out, said, my grandfather, Major David Grant, was killed at Anzac Cove during the Gallipoli landings on April 25th. So he was killed on Anzac Day. He was a popular officer and commander of the 2nd South Canterbury Company of the Canterbury Infantry Battalion. And he and his men that afternoon climbed 500 feet up Malone's Gully with the intention of taking Baby 700. Unfortunately, when they attempted to charge the Turkish positions, they found that the gully was enfiladed. And that was a new word for me. I had to look that up. But it's like, how in a hotel corridor, it's just like a row of doors. Well, in battle, it's like just a line of bullet fire. I mean, those poor men, they just didn't stand a chance. No. So Grant and several of his men were killed by Turkish machine gun fire. He was the first South Canterbury officer to be killed at Gallipoli and was later buried at Walker's Ridge Cemetery. Then going down a little bit, Essen is someone I got to know because she was on the Newt team.
Nice.
Yes. And the brother of her great-grandfather on her dad's side served as a private in the 13th Militia of the Bulgarian army. So he died in a local military hospital in Ruse on June 17th, 1918. And she discovered this through using the Bulgarian War archives that are available online. There's a memorial dedicated to him in his hometown and in Ruse. Then this is from Samantha Hunter. And she said, my great uncle, Joseph Lowry Reed, served in World War II as a flying officer in the RCAF. He sadly was bombed over Burma and presumed dead. I recently colorized his picture. And I just have to say, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like he would be someone I would like see, like on the street. I'm so vivid.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very special.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, so Pam Holzman has an offer for anyone where this might be helpful. Her grandfather, Todd Smith, who was a full-blood Caddo Choctaw, fought in World War I. He came home safe, but many he knew did not. He never talked about his time in France. Pam has an enormous, over 3 feet long photo of all the men in his division before they left to go overseas. While their faces in the photo are very tiny, they are such clear, high resolution. And so see what she did here was she was able, I mean, this is very sharp. This is her grandfather's face, and she enlarged it to a clear 8x10. So she offers anyone who had family in his Army Corps of Engineers is welcome to have a look at the photo that she posted. I guess maybe it's just send a private message to Pam here. Her answer was on page 6 of the answers. And she will send a large file of just their loved one, the entire division, or both. Just contact Bushong 92. Very, very generous. Actually, Pam was, come to think of it, also on a new team person. So thank you, Pam, for that generous offer. All right. Well, how'd I do? I did okay.
You did great. You did wonderful.
You did it.
That's incredible.
And that was tough this morning to narrow it down.
Vicky,
do you want to go next?
Okay. Let's start with our member of the week. Although we will stay on the war theme. After this one. Klaas Jansen, he's our member of the week. He couldn't be with us because he has a family event today, so I hope you are having fun, Klaas. And, well, he's a member of WikiTree since 2023, although he tested WikiTree in I don't remember. Sorry, I'm in 20-something before. And he didn't like or he didn't feel comfortable with it, but he came back. They always come back. And, well, he got interested in genealogy when his granduncle, Anton, gave him a small sheet with a chart of the 10 Hoare family. And there were stories that they might be descendants of Dutch or German nobility, which sounded intriguing, he says. But of course, it turned out to be nonsense. So he began his research when he was about 15 or 16. Outside of genealogy, and I want to say this, he was a choir singer, Greg, for many years. Yeah. And, well, he retired from singing when he turned 75. His genealogical research focus, well, he began by tracing his own ancestors. But then, he says, I went to the other direction, researching the descendants of my earliest known ancestors. That's one way to go.
Wow.
And he has a Roots Magic database with over 479,000 people. Wow. And WikiTree, his main goal is to increase his CC7. He's interested in his Dutch ancestors, which didn't have surnames until 1811. But there are a few exceptions, and this is one of his favorite ancestors, the Schregartus family. And he also researched the ancestors of his Swiss wife. His main regions of focus are Friesland. I was in Friesland, and my ancestors, my German ancestors, come from the same area. They're also from Friesland. Groningen and Overijssel in the Netherlands, and the canton of Bern in Switzerland. And I want to say, well, he's most involved in the Netherlands, Switzerland, and global project. He says, because of my age, I mainly follow along rather than participate actively in project work or challenges. But he enjoys being part of one big family. That's WikiTree. And my data are open for others to use, and I think it's helpful for anyone who wants to build upon my work. In a way, it will become part of my legacy. Yes, we love that.
Yes.
So, and finally, I want to share what inspires Glass to participate in our mission, or what can we do to inspire them? Because he's probably not an English native speaker. So he says, for people whose first language is in English, WikiTree can be challenging. Yes, it is. Although using local languages is allowed, understanding how WikiTree works still requires a fair amount of English. Making the platform easier for non-English speakers would help a lot. Yes, it would. And it's something that happens to me because I would love to share more of what we do on WikiTree, but none of my or very few of my friends and acquaintances would understand it. So yes, I'm there with you, Class. Well, congrats on being member of the week. I'm sorry we couldn't have you here with us, but well, it's a family, so
that's right.
Yeah,
nice, Klaus.
And well, today I won't share any profile makeovers because this week, 52 Ancestors is about wartime. So we're just celebrating Veterans Day, so at least in the United States. So this is just perfect for this week. And we have 8 answers to the question, who in your family has served in the military? And so the answers are from Tommy Buck, who's in the chat with us. His father, Herbert Clark Buck, served in World War II, and his great-grandfather, Elias E. Buck, served in the Civil War. That's from Tommy. This one's from Kay Smith. Wow, a lot of ancestors. Get ready. I don't suppose there has been an American war that my family did not serve. My brother was in the Navy, peacetime. My uncle in Vietnam. His older brothers, dad included, all served in the Korean conflict. Mom's uncle, adoptive father, World War I. Mom's adopted brother, Leroy Pierce, killed in action in World War II in D-Day, on D-Day. My second great-grandfather, Minor Tebbs Smith, was in the Mexican-American and Civil War. Several of my Dalton and Chapmans served in the Revolutionary War. I also have Dalton ancestors, okay? They're Irish. Eighth great-grandfather was a lieutenant in the Rangers of 1692. And he's, what is FIL?
Father-in-law.
Oh, sorry. Father-in-law. Ninth great-grandfather had a role in Bacon's Rebellion. And James Taylor, too. Seventh great-grandfather, wow. served under Alexander Spotswood as one of 63 men of the Tramontane expedition, one of the Knights of the Golden Horseshoe. Wow.
Ooh.
Many. Here we have, this is M. Rose. Yeah. Her uncle, Peter Rogers, he was my mother's brother. This is a special one. I really like this story. He was called upon and joined the British Army in 1942. He was sent to India and Burma in the Signals Corps. He was trained in Japanese Morse code. Wow. He was in a special signal section, intercepting Japanese radio signals, mostly in code purple, and transmitting them for decoding. Late in 1945, he was part of the force that was to invade Singapore when the Japanese surrendered. He was invalided home due to malaria and a leg wound that happened during a soccer game that would not heal. And we have a photo here, and Peter is this one in the center of the photo. Great photograph.
Yes, it is.
That's obviously for the soccer injury.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't see any.
He's smiling too much to have
for being in pain, at least.
Yeah.
And this is another one of Alexis Nelson's great photos. These are her parents. This is a photo taken during World War II, of my parents, Claire and Clarice. They had met at Oklahoma University, and they married in 1942, and she moved to Wichita, Kansas. She worked at the Boeing aircraft plant in Wichita, helping to build B-29s. And this was the same aircraft that Chick, her father, was the flight engineer on. And on 29 May 1945, the B-29 he was on was shot down during a bombing mission over Japan. Yes, we're so sorry, Alexis. That is a beautiful photograph. And this is from Tina Hall. She says, my World War II veteran, my father, Edwin T. King, served during World War II from 1941 to 1945. He was a mechanic stationed in France and Italy. His jobs have always been in transportation. He drove a taxicab, a metrobus, and a trolley. My older sister told me about that just recently. Dad was always working on our cars while I was growing up. It was nothing to see his legs sticking out from underneath our car, or watching him change a tire or the brakes, or with his head under the hood. His job in the military carried him through life, it seems. He always kept our cars in good working order. That's priceless. Rest in peace, Dad. You're truly missed by your daughters. Oh. And she posted a photo, but unfortunately we can see it. And finally, I guess this is the this is from Brenda Millage. This is my paternal great-grandfather in uniform. In 1914, he was a member of the Canadian Expeditionary Force. My grandfather, the young man in the photo, this is her grandfather, and this is the great-grandfather. He was 16 and joined the army a bit later in World War I. What a beautiful photo.
Nice.
And it looks really, really good for being so old. And this is from Oliver Stigin. Also, he has a lot of ancestors. I've often wondered why I joined the military as a 19-year-old. So himself is a veteran. When all others in my youth group were conscientious objectors. I have since come to the conclusion that even such personal aspects like volunteering for the military may have genetic components, I'm sure. How do you say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree?
Yes.
On my mother's side, most ancestors fought in one or another of Germany's wars throughout the centuries. Here are a few examples. My mother's grandfather, Wilhelm Neumann, volunteered for military service in 1914, fighting in both world wars. My grandfather, Paul Grow, trained for the military in 1936, 1938, was activated in 1939 and killed in action in 1944. His father, Paul Grow, was drafted in 1914, wounded in action in December of that first year of war, and succumbed to his wound in 1921. Paul Sr.'s paternal great-grandfather, Thilo Grow, fought in the Napoleonic Wars at least from 1792 to 1799. And Paul's senior maternal great-grandfather, Christian Gottfried Hagedorn, was a musketeer in the military regiment von Renoir, which was dissolved after infamous siege of Magdeburg in 1806. Wow, a lot of story there. And finally, Yelena Ekstad. I want to mention this because she did some great, generous work. She went into the category United States Army for this theme, and she found there Vincent Edward Densmore. His father and his great-grandfather had a profile, and she merged them. She created some and merged them. So
Nice.
she doesn't share a story, but she's saying that she did an act of WikiTree kindness.
Very nice.
For our military men. So it was perfect for this week.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Vicky. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Denise, you're up.
Yes. Well, as you see, I don't have a guest with me today, but we're talking about wartime and celebrating our veterans. And I want to ask the WikiTreeers, all my cousins, have you ever discovered that an ancestor was part of a historical society just by participating in one of the many wars that have occurred? I want to share with you what I found on Wikipedia. I'm going to try. I should have gotten this together. Gosh, please, please, please. Clicking here.
Okay.
Share a screen.
Yep.
And I'm going to click on my Wikipedia tab.
Okay.
Ta-da! And I'm focused on the lists.
Okay. You must have to hit another button because we don't see it yet.
Yes, we're not sharing yet.
Try sharing your whole screen, Denise, not a tab.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me go
I mean, you won't be able to see us, but then that's how I do it. Seems to be.
Mm-hmm.
Screen.
It's easier.
Once you choose you just have to hit the final share button.
Yeah, I got a split screen, so I don't want to do
Okay.
that. I'm going to do it anyway. Entire screen. Share.
That way, whatever you see is what we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to split my screen.
Okay.
Unsplit my screen. Okay.
Okay. Now you have to open your tab.
Okay. And then if you make that full screen, like that. Perfect.
Yay!
All
Now,
right.
Can you zoom in a bit to make the text larger first? There we go.
Perfect.
That's nice.
And now center your window.
Oh, we're so picky. We're so picky. Oh.
I'm standard. I'm standard. What's up with this?
Just slide. I just want to go slide over.
Just like, there's a song that says that.
Can we slide over some more? Okay. Well, hopefully you can at least see where it starts with society.
Societies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Nothing else to the left of the word society?
No, not really. This is a list. It's in Wikipedia. I'm only showing part of this Wikipedia page so that you can see all of these different societies that our ancestors are part of. and we may not even know it. I never knew there was a sons and daughters of the Vietnam War. Did you know that?
No.
Hey, you know, these are different societies that have been identified over the ages. Sons of the American Legion. Obviously, we have the sons and daughters of the American Revolution.
Right.
Everybody knows that one. Yeah.
We know about Sar and Dar, but we didn't know about all these others. Sons of Confederate veterans, sons of Union veterans of the Civil War. So these are all actual societies. And we actually have a project called Societies.
Oh.
Yeah. When you bounce around in Ancestry, I mean in Wikipedia, WikiTree, you find these different things. But we have actual projects, called Societies. This is a Societies project. And the whole purpose of this is to obviously collaborate and bring together family members, profiles that have things in common, different societies, such as these different wars that they've participated in. So here's a list of all the different societies. And this is a space page that is intended to be a project, but guess what? Most of the items for some of these societies, in this case, it's all genealogical societies, but I just showed you a list in Wikipedia that are the other types of societies. And instead of having projects or space pages, we have very little in WikiTree about these societies. We have categories.
Right.
So, for example, the Order of the Eastern Star, that's a society, and it's associated with the Freemasons.
Right. It's the female counterpart. Yeah.
It's the female counterpart of the Freemasons. That's a society. But guess what? We don't have a project to talk about the Order of the Eastern Star, of which my grandmother was a part. Ooh. I don't even have her listed in here. How about that?
Well, how many people are in that category? 630.
635.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can obviously, because it's a category, you can do the My Connections thing and see what connections. I do have 2 cousins that I've identified with this, but I have yet to add my grandmother to this list. My maternal grandmother was in the Order of the Eastern Star. So obviously that means my grandfather was a Freemason.
Does it? Is that?
It does in this case. He was a Mason. My mother's, two of my mother's brothers were also Masons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So in my case, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if there was some kind of like rule, like automatic, like, if you're married or you have to be or something like that.
Yeah, I haven't done enough research on it to find out whether or not it's part of being married to a Mason, whether that automatically gets you into the Order of the Eastern Star. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. Those Masons are pretty secretive about their organization. and you really have to know one, and they have to be willing to share.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Are they allowed to share?
Good point.
I don't know. I have found out about several cousins after they passed that they were Masons because they had the rites during their funeral.
Yeah.
And that's how I found out they were Masons. I'm like, really? Who knew?
And also, isn't there often a little symbol on the headstone that signifies their membership?
Yes. It's. I think I had that one, but I don't have it anymore. I'm sorry. I had the one. It's the G that's in the triangle.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the symbol for the Masons. But yeah, I just thought I wanted to share I'm going to stop sharing now. So this is going to be pretty quick. But you saw that list. It's out there. I will put that link to Wikipedia in the chat.
Yes.
And then I want to encourage my fellow WikiTreeers, if you've got family members that are part of any of those societies, even the military ones, this is a good time since we're thinking about and talking about wartime.
Right.
This is a good time to go back, identify them, and see which one of those societies they're a part of, and then suggest or recommend on G2G that we add a category for that.
Mm-hmm.
And we can start building those societies, even if we don't have a full-fledged project. Maybe I should start a challenge. You know,
in all your free time.
Yeah, there's so much going on. Like with WikiTree Week, the research groups, everyone loved those research parties.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe I could start a research party next year.
Or just start with it like a one-off Discord research party. Get people buzzing.
Yeah, but next year is just around the corner.
That's correct. That is correct. Thanks for the reminder. But I would like to encourage all of my fellow WikiTreeers to just go out there and see what those different societies are. Identify which of your family members are a member of that society, and let's create some categories for that and build up that society project, because you know there's only 6 members to that project, believe it or not. It's not a very popular or active project. So let's start changing that by making that a little more active.
Excellent.
And great for me. We're behind the branches.
That's food for thought.
Yes.
Excellent. So I guess it's my turn.
Yes.
Yes.
Hooray. We're getting
we leave all the time for you, Greg. We leave all the time for you.
Yeah, so I can speak for a full hour because Anne says I don't have to stop until noon.
That's not what she said.
Anne has been repeatedly reminding you.
She has. You can stop yelling now, Anne. I got the message. But anyways, yes. So to round out today's roundup, we are of course talking about the connection checkers, and the theme, of course, is World War I, specifically World War I. Though Remembrance Day, that's what we call it in Canada, or Veterans Day, as it's named in the States, and it was originally Armistice Day. So I'm not sure what they call it in the UK, if they call it still Armistice Day or if it's Remembrance Day. I think Amanda said that it is Remembrance Day. I think Amanda said that they do actually celebrate it in Australia as well. So she wrote in the chat there at one point that they celebrate both days, Anzac Day as well as Remembrance Day.
And I guess she said they also use the poppy.
And they use the poppy, yeah. Mm-hmm. So the symbol that Awen put there for the poppy is very appropriate. Yeah, and I've got again, I'll do a close up on my poppy here. And I don't know if you probably can't tell unless I take it off, but this was one of those specialized poppies that they made a few years ago, which is a little controversial because in the middle, instead of just the black dot, there's actually a little mini Canadian flag. Which makes it sort of a non-traditional poppy. So it's not the officially approved, I guess, Legion poppy, but it's kind of cool because it's got a Canadian flag in it. And that Canadian flag is actually a button, a pin. So it's easier to stick in the back into the shirt, and it doesn't come off. Because I could never, from grade 1 on, whenever I got a poppy for Remembrance Day, it would never last more than half an hour before it fell off of whatever I pinned it to. Because I just had no coordination at bending the pin so it would stay on. Anyways, but that's not what we're here to remember. We're here to remember specifically World War I connections. Which person are you closest related to is my question. I think I'm
Alvin York.
Alvin York. Okay.
Yes.
Mine is Harry Murray.
Okay.
And mine is John Pershing.
John Pershing. Okay. He's my second, but my closest is the Canadian John McCrae. Woohoo!
Of course.
I'm very happy about that. And if you've been reading the comments, we have some very patriotic Canadians who are also very touched by John McCrae. Murray actually recited the whole poem in Flanders Field, and we're going to end with John McCrae's profile today. But if we want to look at the table to see how they're connected to each other, unlike some weeks where there's actually a lot of family connections, all of these connections are fairly distant. Anyways, 16 it looks like is the closest connection. That's Pershing and Hall, but then they vary. So that's an interesting table to check out. But we're going to start off with Alvin Cullum York. So now the interesting thing, the intro about this was that he is maybe the most most decorated soldier, America's most decorated soldier. And I must admit, as a Canadian, I knew nothing. I had never heard of Alvin York before, so I apologize for all you Americans if he's so famous. But I did not know about him. So this was great because I got to learn. He born on 13th of December 1887 in Pall Mall in Tennessee. I don't see an Appalachia sticker on him, so I'm guessing that Tennessee is outside of Appalachia, or his part of Tennessee.
His part of Tennessee, yeah.
This part of Tennessee is outside.
His part, yeah.
Okay, because part of Tennessee must be into Appalachia, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks, Denise. Take the role of Appalachia expert this week will be Denise.
No.
We don't have Sandy here to give us chapter and verse, so.
I just know that part because my husband's family is from Tennessee. So okay. I know there's parts that are Appalachian and parts that are not.
Ah, okay, yes. And we got biscuits in there. Excellent. So yeah, born in 1887. His father was a farmer and a blacksmith, and his wife was Mary Elizabeth Brooks, his mother. They lived in a one-room cabin on a small farm. He started working the farm at the age of 6 and only attended school when he could, so intermittently, as many would have back then. They estimated he had an equivalent of a 3rd grade education, but that did not hold him back because he achieved great things. He was developed to help support the family, of course, on the farm. He helped develop excellent marksmanship skills, hunting for food that would later aid him in his military endeavors. He joined the Church of Christ in the Christian Union in 1915, so right near the beginning of the war, which was a pacifistic Christian organization, believed in peace and not fighting. So in his draft, he wrote, "Don't want to fight," on the draft card. The draft board told him to refile his application, and his battalion commander convinced him that you could be Christian and still take up military service. And so after he wrestled with that, sent back a message, "I'm going." He went to serve actively in World War I in France. And that's where his story really takes off because he became a hero for the charge he took in this one day. He took against German machine gunners in the Argonne Forest, securing the position and returning with prisoners. So after an initial success on the mission, he lost 6 of his men and decided to leave the remaining men to guard those that he captured. And then he went back alone, sniping soldiers as he went. He was charged by a group of German soldiers, all of whom he killed. Now, it doesn't say how many were in that particular group, but he marched 90 prisoners back who surrendered after seeing that he was a force to be reckoned with. So I guess seeing a single person mow through a whole group of German soldiers coming after them, they figured, well, our odds don't look that good. Hands up. Total prisoners taken through 132. So that's definitely impressive. The whole expedition was the result was fame and honor. He got a Congressional Medal of Honor and the French Croix de Guerre. The General John Joseph Pershing, who we'll talk about in another profile shortly, called him the greatest civilian soldier of the war. So, and I did not know any of that story of his heroics. But it was turned into a film later. So when he returned home, he married his childhood sweetheart in 1919, and starting in 1920, they began having a family. Looked like the firstborns did not survive. 1 or 2 infants. It looks like there, and then an infant girl. The last was an infant girl born in 1940, who passed away shortly after birth as well. After the war, of course, he had being so famous, he had lots of opportunities to endorse products, but he only took a few, just enough so that his family could survive. He didn't just sort of milk that fame for fame. Film came out in 1941 based on his heroics. Sergeant York starred Gary Cooper, very famous movie star at the time. Was the highest grossing film of 1941. And he actually made $50,000 from that. So that would be nice to help him start out. And he used that to start a non-denominational Bible school. That's pretty impressive. Sadly, the IRS objected to the fact that he didn't pay any taxes on that money. And so they presented him with a bill for $85,000 in back and taxes and interest. Luckily, the 2 people from your Congress, the House Speaker and Representative, launched a nationwide drive to raise money. So they helped him out. And then the IRS accepted a smaller amount in payment. And then what was left over, because they raised so much money, obviously he was very famous. And it seems rude to pay a war hero or to tax a war hero like this, with such a huge bill and whatnot. So I can see how that would have impressed people and to give and donate. And he used the remaining funds to help survive the rest of his life. And here's another example of, let's see, is this him? No, there's someone else. I was going to say he tried to, he was an advocate for action against the Third Reich. He was too old to, he wasn't able to re-enlist, but he did serve on the local draft board, and then passed away in 1954 after a stroke. So anyways, very impressive person who I had never heard of before. So there we go.
Well, I'm American, and I had not heard of him either. So
oh really?
Yeah.
Okay then. Well, I don't feel nearly as bad.
I have to confess, I haven't heard of any of today's profiles.
None of them? Oh, wow. Okay, wow.
So don't feel bad.
Okay, then. So next we have Urbain Francis Bass, part of U.S. Black history. He was a physician. Dr. Urbain Bass was a physician who volunteered to serve as a medic in World War I. And in your answers, Betsy, there was a few that had medical expertise, nurses and doctors.
Yes.
He was killed. Unfortunately, he was killed on the battlefield in France while he was treating wounded soldiers under heavy fire, and was posthumously awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for extraordinary heroism in combat. So before when he volunteered for the war, he actually wrote a letter to the Army that I'm herewith offering my services for the Army Medical Corps should there be a need for a Negro physician for that branch of the service. And that was written in 1916, and they obviously accepted him. So he was born in 1880 in Richmond, Virginia, firstborn son of Rosetta Harris and Richard Bass. His father was a Baptist minister, graduated from Virginia Union University and the Leonard Medical School in 1906, established his medical practice and pharmacy in Fredericksburg in Virginia, became the first African-American physician since Reconstruction to reside in that city. And then he got married in 1907. They continued to live there. They had 4 children. He was commissioned as a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army and was assigned to the 372nd Infantry, left for France in March of 1918. He died on the battlefield in France in October of 1918 when a shell severed his legs while he was attending to wounded soldiers.
Oh.
Very sad. So he was administering first aid in the open under there was a prolonged and intense shelling fire. But he saw people who were in need, and he was trying to patch them up and get them to safety. So very sad, but lovely picture of him here. There we go. And one of the things I wanted to point out, I gotta have my cursor over here. If you go to his ancestors page, we only see there's a profile for both of his parents, but no further back. So it doesn't, I went there quickly to Richard Bass, and it's basically just sort of census information. And so it's part of U.S. Black heritage. It doesn't say whether he was a free Black man or an enslaved Black man. And I know that those are difficult records to trace back. So I don't know where that is, but it just makes me wonder if there's any way to, flesh this out some more and whatnot. So just a question I'm throwing out there, not knowing the answer. So then we're moving on to Vera Mary Britton. Very appropriate last name because she was actually born in England. Born the 29th of December in 1893 in Newcastle under Lyme in Staffordshire, England. Died in 1970 at the age of 76 in Wimbledon. She's best known as the author of the best-selling book Testament of Youth, which recounted her traumatic experiences of the First World War. So yeah, she's born in Newcastle. There's some census information, and it's always like, I know we always have this. Some people love to see this. I enjoy seeing the census, and you see all that extra information, and you can sort of get a picture of the whole family. Yep. Some people prefer having that set down lower, like in a separate section or in the sources. So I can go either way, but it's always interesting to see it, and the way that with the tables and how they're formatted, it's just so nice and legible there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat seeing that. Educated at boarding school, and then she married George Catlin, which her death was registered in the January, February, March quarter of 1970. So the biography is fairly short, but if you go to her Wikipedia page, then you'll get that expands the story, and it'd be nice if some of that story was included, I think, in the profile, so you don't have to go over there to find out. But basically, what it amounts to is she actually volunteered to become, she wasn't a full nurse, but she became a part of a nursing organization. And so she joined that. So she saw the war firsthand, and she lost, I believe, if I remember correctly, I mean, we could go to the Wikipedia page if we wanted to, but I'm pretty sure she lost a brother, a couple friends. She lost a number of people who were close to her because of the war. And so she took that did, of course, have a huge effect on her. And then she became an author, and she wrote about that experience. And that's her best-selling book, The Testament of Youth. And she actually wrote, that was actually the beginning of a trilogy. She wrote 2 other books, Testament of other things, which I can't remember off the top of my head. I closed that link to the Wikipedia. But if you want to read more about her life, that's where you said. But basically, she was a nurse, and then was her experience.
So her bio should say, read the books.
Read the book. Read the book.
That's it.
I mean, something about that, and then if links to the people that she lost and whatnot. So see there, yeah, there's her brother Edward, memorialized by his sister in the Testament of Youth, and that's a very short biography. We should, that could be fleshed out.
Greg's giving out homework.
I'm assigning homework. Yes.
And Denise too. Yeah.
Edith Louisa Cavell, born the 4th of December, 1865 in Swartiston, Norfolk, England, passed away in 1915 in Tier National, Schaerbeek, Brussels, Belgium. She was a nurse, World War I British nurse, celebrated for saving the lives of over 200 Allied soldiers in German-occupied Brussels. She was arrested, tried, and executed by a German firing squad. Yeah, very sad. So she was the first child to the Reverend Frederick Cavell and his wife, Louisa Sophia, born in 1865. Baptized by her father. Not a lot of people get to say that. Almost none in the Catholic Church, at least nowadays, officially. But other denominations have that ability. But anyways, they were educated at home by the father and mother. She was working at the hospital, so another nurse. She actually was working during a typhoid outbreak and actually received an award, medal for her bravery doing that. Worked at St. Pancras Infirmary. And isn't St. Pancras the name of the hospital in Harry Potter?
Yes. I think that's.
I don't know if it's the same hospital or if it's a branch.
I'm not sure.
She was in charge of a pioneering training school for lay nurses, and in Brussels in 1907. So this is before the war broke out. She was working in Brussels, working in a training school. When the war did break out in 1914, the clinic was taken over by the Red Cross, and many of the nurses were sent home to safety. She remained to help care for the wounded, irrespective of their nationality. So that was her devotion to her profession. And it was at the hospital that she was asked to help to wounded and fleeing soldiers. She agreed despite the danger. She knew what she was getting into. And then that allowed her to join an escape organization that was centered in the district of Mons. And over the next year, she helped to house or outhouse fugitives and arranged for all their escapes. So in total, at least 200 Allied soldiers were helped to get out of the country safely because of her work. Unfortunately, 2 members of the escape route team were arrested at the end of July 1915, and then 5 days later, she was arrested as well, transferred to prison, 2-day trial, sentenced guilty, and sentenced to death to be executed the next morning. Firing squad. Very sad. Yeah. Now, what's really interesting is there's 2 clips here about her funeral. So she was, after the war, her body was exhumed. She was, executed by firing squad and then buried right there. But afterwards, her body was exhumed and she was transferred back to England and buried at Norwich Cathedral after a memorial service at Westminster Abbey. So this was a big deal. She'd given a lot in service to save those men and women, possibly. Didn't specify. So there was a nice article here about the funeral, and then an even longer one, which I'll let you read. But very impressive. Like it almost makes you choked up to like how many people came out. Over 1,000 people were provided seating, and then there were even more on the outside, and how people from all walks of life came to honor her. And even one interesting thing is they talked about on the way they played the solemn strains of the Dead March from Saul, which is a piece by Handel. And there's a little link here. I just want to point out, if you click on that, it opens up article and a recording, so you can actually listen to what that was played. So that's kind of a neat addition to the profile. So yeah, very impressive. So we thank her for her service. Moving on to Carrie May Hall, born back in the stateside in Nashua, Hillsborough, New Hampshire, on the 5th of July, 1873. Passed away at the age of 90. Nice to have profiles for people who actually survived the war. Passed away in 1963 in Norwell, Plymouth, Massachusetts. She was another nurse, chief nurse, in fact, of the World War I Expeditionary Forces during World War I, the Red Cross chief nurse, Harvard unit, in the Peter Bent Brigham Hospital School of Nursing, founder National Nursing Association president and pioneer of American nursing. So she graduated from Massachusetts General Hospital in 1904, superintendent in 1917, and appointed chief nurse in 1918. And she was selected chief nurse of the American Red Cross in Great Britain, and later chief nurse of the Red Cross in France. So obviously very important in that organization, organizing everything and all the administration and stuff. And then he became the president of the National League of Nursing Education from 26 to 28. So she continued on with her amazing work. Her administrative ability in setting up hospitals and directing the work of the Red Cross nurses won her a citation for the Royal Red Cross of King George V, first class, for meritorious service rendered the Allied cause, an award of Médaille de Reconnaissance from the French government. And she was belatedly honored with the Médaille Florence Nightingale, a medal given by the International Committee of the Red Cross for heroic and distinguished service for the American Red Cross in France during World War I.
Wow.
So, nurses played such a huge part, and doctors too, of course, but so many nurses, and probably unsung. So many. Henry William Murray, Victoria Cross, congregate. Wait a second. This is the medal of St. Michael and St. George, and then Distinguished Service Order are the three, what the initials are. And this is an Australian, born 1st of December in 1880 in Evandale, Tasmania. So off the coast, the little island off the coast of Australia, at the bottom there. Died 7th of January 1966, at the age of 85 in Queensland. So he has an interesting history. So Lieutenant Colonel Harry Murray, BCCM, GDSCO, and BAR DCM, was an Australian grazier, soldier, and a recipient of the Victoria Cross, the highest decoration for gallantry in the face of the enemy that can be awarded to members of the British Commonwealth Armed Forces. Often described as the most highly decorated infantry soldier of the British Empire during the First World War. So we had the most highly decorated American, and here's the most highly decorated member of the British Empire. So he was the son of a farmer, born in December 1880 in Tasmania. He was educated at Evandale State School. He helped run the family farm, just like our Sergeant Elvin York did. He was also interested in the military and joined the Tasmanian Field Artillery. So another sharpshooter. So interesting similarities between the two men, actually, in that regard. He moved to Western Australia at the age of 19 or 20, where he worked as a mail courier on the gold fields. And then in 1914, he was employing timber cutters for the railways. So he did lots of stuff. In 1914 in Perth, he enlisted in the Australian Imperial Forces as the young nation's all-volunteer expeditionary force for the recently declared First World War. Of course, they didn't call it the First World War. They didn't know that there was going to be more than one. I'm sure they hoped that there would be the war to end all wars. No more after that. Wouldn't that have been nice? He embarked for Egypt with the 16th Battalion. So this is, let's see, he arrived in early February 1915. On the 25th of April, as a member of one of the 16th Battalion's 2 machine gun, he landed at Gallipoli. He was promoted to Lance Corporal on the 12th of May. He was wounded by a gunshot to his right knee, and he was promoted on the 12th of May, and then he was wounded by gunshot the very next day on the 13th of May, and so he was evacuated to Egypt. Although the medical personnel wanted to evacuate him back to Australia, he wanted to return to his men, so he insisted. He got his way. He boarded a transport bound for Gallipoli. And once he was wounded again on the 8th of July. He was awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal, gazetted. I didn't know I hadn't seen that word as a verb before, but gazetted in London, the 5th of August in 1915. And then Melbourne on the 28th of October. In August, he was promoted to sergeant and posted to the 13th Australian Infantry Battalion. After the Allied evacuation of Gallipoli in December and retraining in Egypt, he was now a captain and was sent to Marseille in France, deployed to the Western Front, and there he defied the statistics, participating in each of the unit's major actions, and he survived. That's what the defying the statistics, being able to fight every battle and still come back after every one of those. The odds of that seem to be against him. On the 13th of July, he was sent to Beaulieu and fought in the Battle of Somme, where he was twice more wounded. So he may be the most decorated. I think some of those decorations must have been Band-Aids covering up all his wounds.
Oh, yeah. Or the scars.
Yes, all the scars. But he was eventually awarded the Victoria Cross, highest decoration for gallantry in the face of the enemy.
Mm-hmm. And what's
nice
there's a little image. Before we saw a little image. Was that a condecoration too?
This one up here?
No. At the beginning, there.
Oh, here.
There it is.
That says Gallipoli, 1915 Gallipoli.
Oh, Gallipoli. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Or 1915.
Oh, nice.
Is it 19 or 1315? Is that the regiment number?
1915.
I think it's 1915. Yeah. Yeah. And there's a little clip here about the pronouncement from the king awarding him the award of the Victoria Cross. Afterwards, he came back to Queensland. He married Constance Cameron. That marriage didn't last, which is interesting. Well, not interesting. It's sad. And then was declared null, a decree nisi. So it was declared a divorce or null and void or whatever. But then he got remarried. Someone with the same last name. In fact, it was actually his first wife's niece.
Wow.
Oh. So makes you go But anyways, they had a happier marriage. Had a couple kids, and he was awarded the Victoria Cross in 1937. Or no, actually, he had the Victoria Cross, and then he got a Coronation Medal in 1937. He also, from King George VI, he also got a medal from Queen Elizabeth II in 1953. So lots of stuff. And here's the different medals and awards that he got. Companion of the Order of St. Michael and St. George, Companion of the Distinguished Service Order, that's the DSO, Distinguished Conduct Medal, lots of stuff. And there's the two regal coronation medals.
That looks really great.
Doesn't that look neat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool. John Joseph Pershing was the general, the chief of staff of the United States Army and general of the United States Armies. So he was born on a farm, another farm. A lot of these soldiers came from farms. I mean, there was a lot of farmers back then, right? They had 4 children. He died in 1948 and was buried in Arlington. Went to West Point. He was West Point, reported for active duty as of 1886. Was stationed in Fort Bayard in New Mexico Territory. Served in California, North Dakota. Took part in the uprisings of the Lakota. Assigned as professor of military science and tactics at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. So he was a professor. Obviously very learned as well. Promoted to first lieutenant in 1895, took command of a troop, Buffalo Soldiers. I hadn't heard of the term Buffalo Soldier regiments before. Is that a term you're familiar with?
Only in a song.
Oh, really? But apparently it's composed of African-American soldiers under white officers. So
the Buffalo Soldiers were African American.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it because they're from Buffalo? Is that why they called it?
No, not because they were from Buffalo, but because of their ability to round up the buffalo and the cattle and things like that. They were all also farmers. And they had some skills that enabled them to be better soldiers.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Thank you, Denise.
I'm going to go back on mute because my four-legged grandbaby keeps barking.
Ah, okay. Thanks for clarifying. Then fought in the Spanish-American War, Philippine-American War. Most famously as the commander, but of course he's most famous as the commander of the American Expeditionary Forces. So the big cheese for the American forces from 1917 to 1918. So he was promoted at that point in time as the General of the Armies, which is the highest possible rank in the United States Army. And in fact, there's only ever been 2 other people, and both of those were promoted to this position posthumously. So General George Washington, someone even I am familiar with, someone a little important to the beginning of your country, and General Ulysses S. Grant from the Civil War. Those 2 were also promoted to General of the United States Armies plural. But he's the only one who has been given that title during his lifetime. And so that's quite an interesting honor to that.
I have to say, I'm checking my connection paths as we go along.
Yes.
And people are working on these.
Oh.
While we speak, I return to a page. I'm like, wait, there's one more check mark than there was 2 minutes ago.
No way! Oh, that's excellent.
I need to confirm those connections, everyone.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, how are we doing here? Eric Paul Remarque, born in Osnabrück, Hanover, Preußen, Deutsches Reich, passed away at the age of 72 in Locarno, Ticino, Switzerland. So he was obviously he was German, born as Eric Paul Remarque on the 22nd of June, 1898, the city of Osnabrück in the German Empire. Second of 4 children, baptized in the Cathedral of Osnabrück. His parents married there. His family moved frequently, and then they tried. Again, very nice full profile here. His war experience in the First World War was the defining events of his life and his work. In 1916, when he was 18, he received the call to go to join military service while he was still a student at the Catholic Royal Teachers Seminary. So he was studying to become a teacher. Obviously, he probably did not want to become a soldier, but he had to heed the call. He joined as an Ersatzrecruit with the infantry regiment and trained in Osnabrück. Qualified for a 1-year voluntary service and was assigned to the Ersatz Battalion. He was transferred to the Western Front, and anyway, he basically spent the war there. He was later attached to another regiment and served in Flanders area during the opening phase of the Battle of Ypres, or the battle also known as the Battle of Passchendaele. He was severely wounded by shell fragments in the left leg and the right arm and suffered a gunshot wound to the neck, but he survived. That didn't kill him. And then he was evacuated next day and then transferred to St. Vincent Hospital in Duisburg. While convalescing, he began writing notes and sketches for a novel, which he eventually published, and that became the very famous novel, which was Im Westen nichts Neues, which in English is All Quiet on the Western Front. Very famous novel about war, and turned into a movie. Actually, I think there's at least 3 different versions of the movie over the various years that have gone by that title. Basically about the horrors of war and what it does to people. So there we go. Anyways, lovely, great profile, and there's an interesting newspaper article about the book Im Westen nichts Neues. Yeah.
There was something really interesting in my connection path
yes.
to him. So it's his wife, Pauline Levy, was also married to Charlie Chaplin.
No.
Yeah, and I was like, the Charlie Chaplin? Check it out. Go.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is wild. Okay, Paulette Levy Goddard, actress. Edgar. Oh, yeah, Charlie Chaplin's there, and
There.
And
And-
I was like, is it the Charlie Chaplin? It is.
it is.
Wow.
There we go. Wow, and wow. Oliver Burgess Meredith. That's not Burgess Meredith from the
Is
who
it?
was in Rocky, was it? It couldn't be.
A notable.
Yes,
No.
he's an actor.
Actor?
He was known professionally. Yes, he was an actor at the beginning.
Yeah. No, this
Wow.
couldn't be. Could it be?
Well, is it sourced? Let the sources decide.
Okay, let's.
Give him a top hat and a pipe. That might be Penguin.
Let's
Burgess
go to.
Meredith was Penguin in Batman. Yep, that's him.
Oh,
He was
oh
the
my
Penguin.
goodness! No way.
Check the fourth husband.
Yeah, what's the?
I'm curious.
Oh, Amanda is saying that Paulette Goddard was that her last name? Goddard?
Goddard.
Yes, was also an
Goddard.
actress. So she obviously traveled in those circles.
Wow. Okay,
Uh-huh.
let's see. Okay, here's the rabbit hole for today.
Yeah, sorry.
It's fun.
President of the Southern
Oh,
States
well.
Lumber Company. Okay, so her first husband was the president of a lumber company,
Wow.
which is still a prestigious, thing.
How diverse. Yeah.
Wow, that is wild. Okay, very cool. Thanks. That's it.
Yeah.
Rabbit hole of the day. Here we go. Okay. Henry Thomas Shepherd, member of the British Empire, born in Halton, Ontario. Woohoo. Decorated soldier and one of the few black soldiers to serve in the Canadian military in a non-segregated units during World War I. He was made a member of the Order of the British Empire. Yeah. So born in Halton, which is the area is sort of around Hamilton, between Toronto and Hamilton. So south of Toronto, for those who don't know where Hamilton is or whatever. His mother, his father John, was born in the United States and brought to Canada West through the Underground Railroad. Canada West is what is now known as Ontario. So his mother worked in Stewarttown, keeping house for John Murray. And when his mother died, he stayed in the household, living as one of the family, as per his mother's request. He joined the Halton Rifles, and there's a picture of him there. Once he finished school, he worked at the paper mill, later known as Domtar, fine papers. Joined the Canadian Overseas Expeditionary Forces in 1915 as a private, but later transferred to a different battalion. Approximately 1,300 Black Canadians enlisted, while only 500 of them, including Henry, served in non-segregated battalions. In addition, he was also one of only 150 Black Canadian soldiers who served in frontline units. He was wounded twice, returned to duty afterwards both times, and was finally discharged with the rank of sergeant. During the wars, he went back to the paper mill, and then devoted time to volunteer firefighting. Then became the chief of the Georgetown Fire Department. Yeah, he was eager to serve again in World War II. So he completed training and was posted as a company sergeant major, where he helped train recruits. Passed away in 1960 at Sunnybrook Veterans Hospital. Then we have two very famous people, Lothar Manfred Albrecht von Richthofen, born in 1892 in Breslau, in Prussia, in Germany. Passed away the 21st of April, 1918, at the age of 25, Morlancourt Ridge in Vaux-sur-Somme in France. And you might know him better as the Red Baron.
Oh, yes. I did know someone.
Snoopy's arch enemy. Yes, the Red Baron. He was probably the most famous fighter pilot in all of World War One. Of course, he was a fighter pilot with the German Air Force during World War I, one of the most famous aviators in all of history, very skilled, formidable adversary. Everywhere he went, his reputation preceded him, of course. And this is interesting. Despite being on opposite sides during the war, and of course, no one would want to be coming up, seeing his plane coming towards you or whatever, his opponents respected his ability. I mean, obviously, he had it down to a science or a craft or whatever you want to call it. So when he was eventually finally killed in combat, the Allied squadron stationed nearby actually presented a memorial wreath, and one of them was inscribed with the words, "To our gallant and worthy foe." So that's kind of an interesting, interesting angle. Or anyways, he was awarded the Pour le Mérite, or the Blue Max, the highest Prussian military award. He was credited with 80 kills, so he was obviously a huge force to be reckoned with. And of course, he was a hero on the German side. He was a huge hero, and so his funeral was a big deal in Germany. But what's interesting is another little interesting thing. Of course, the Red Baron. If you ever read Charlie Brown comics or even seen some of the cartoons, the Red Baron is the enemy of Snoopy when he goes into his imagination and becomes a World War fighting ace. The person who shot him down, last name was Brown, as in Charlie Brown. Arthur Roy Brown. He's not actually Charlie Brown, but he has the last name Brown. So I think that's kind of cool. That Brown's dog is the one who fights the Red Baron. So I thought that was kind of neat. Then Margarita Gertruda Zella from Friesland, Netherlands, born in 1876, died. Was killed, executed in 1917 in Belleman. You'll know her more commonly as Mata-Hari, the famous spy, exotic dancer, courtesan, and accused spy who was executed by firing squad in France. And we have covered her profile before, at least once, possibly twice, in the past. So, and it's a really well done profile. It's got some nice pictures. Sort of breaks up her life. Framed. Was she really the spy or not? And then we have some sources there, so kind of neat. But I want to end the segment with our Canadian profile of John McCrae, MD, medical doctor, born in 1872 in McCrae House in Guelph, Ontario. And he passed away in 1918 at the age of 45 in Boulogne-sur-Mer in France. He was a Canadian physician, pathologist, army physician during World War I, and his claim to fame, or he's most famous for having penned the poem "In Flanders Fields," which, of course, is in Canada is a poem that's read during every Remembrance Day service. We have Remembrance Day services at 11 o'clock on the 11th day of the 11th month. And they either start or end with the reciting of the poem of In Flanders Fields. He was born in 1872. His father was a woolen manufacturer and worked in the militia office as well. He had at least 2 siblings, one who became a professor of medicine at Johns Hopkins Medical School, and a sister who married a lawyer and a future judge. In 1881, he was living in Guelph. His father was involved in the military, and so he joined the cadet corps at a young age of 14, and then at 17 enlisted in the military field battery commanded by his father. He went to Guelph Collegiate, a school in Ontario, high school in Ontario, and I actually know some teachers who taught there at Guelph Collegiate, not then, but much more recently. He graduated at 16, which is pretty impressive. Now, back then, they would have had grade 12 still. Graduating grade 12 at 16 is impressive. And he was the first student from that school to receive a scholarship to the University of Toronto. So that's very impressive. After studying theory, he was forced to take a year off because he had severe asthma. That's going to come back. And then he did a bit of the teaching of English and math while at the agricultural college. He got a doctorate. He finished his bachelor of arts degree. He got a doctor of medicine. Graduated from medical school. Was a house officer at Toronto General Hospital. He was actually quite an accomplished physician. Doctor was at Toronto General Hospital. He went to Johns Hopkins in the States. He went to Montreal and served there. During the Boer War, he went over and he helped out in the conflict there as well. Went back to McGill University in Montreal. Was appointed to Montreal General Hospital, the Royal College of Physicians in England. He actually accompanied the Governor General of Canada as the official expedition physician. Went on, and then of course during World War I, he joined in when it was declared. He was an experienced physician, and he volunteered for service. So for 4 years, he was in active duty, helping out on the field there. It was in 1915, actually. He was stationed near Ypres, the Belgian town of Ypres in the Flanders, which was a huge battle. One of the most brutal engagements of the war, and that was the first time that poison gas was used. And so he worked days on end tending the dying, the wounded, including a close friend of his. And it was shortly after that during one of his breaks, sitting in the back of an ambulance overlooking the graves, that he composed the poem in Flanders Field. So think of how the everything came together, and then he just sort of put it in words, all of those thoughts. He continued working during the war, saving lives and easing the suffering of the dying. Unfortunately, his asthma and exhaustion from working, nonstop, caught up to him, and he did die in January in the field from pneumonia and meningitis. And he was only 45 years old. So in honor of his service and all the others that we have honored today, and all of our veterans who survived and all those who lost their lives during this World War and others, I would like to end by reciting In Flanders Fields. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
It's a beautiful end, Greg. Thank
you. That poem, I don't know, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to so many people. And also, and the service that people did. So I think that's a fitting way to end. And so I guess we'll just wrap up with what's coming up for next week.
Yes.
So first of all, there was in the G2G, I just have to reset for a second.
I got your breath.
Yeah. Chris post. Do you get an email every Wednesday? I look forward to this to find out what's happening, to find out who I'm talking about, what I'm talking about, and because you get a personal email. It is personalized because it actually tells you, how your CC7 has crept up, and it shows you links to the profiles of the week. So if you don't get that weekly email and you're interested in doing so, then you please sign up for that newsletter and click on that for more details. We have begun the WikiTree challenge for November. It's Tamara Stansfield, who's from Family Search. I think she goes by Tammy. And so there was a nice kickoff on Thursday, and at 12 noon there'll be a meeting for people to catch up on how things are going and go from there. And then what's happening around WikiTree in November. You can see the list of all the different things coming up. Most of those are also on the social media calendar, which Lisa and Azure help keep us up to date with. So Faruchi is the one name study that we're going to be talking about on Tuesday. Alexandria, Tennessee, Appalachia, not Appalachia. I don't know. Find out and join. One Place Studies. Then we have a Friday date night on Friday, and we'll be back next Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Yes, and keep sharing your photos of pets, which is the theme for the month. Your profile makeovers about TV and movies.
Excellent.
And
What else?
let's see, we haven't celebrated any November ancestors yet.
Exactly.
I think we were busy on November 1st was a little too soon. And then we had WikiTree week and today. So next week, I see that we have 7 ancestors to celebrate. So we'll celebrate them all next week.
Yes.
Yeah. And I did want to remind you that the symposium videos, those are amazing videos, but they do expire after 30 days. So you have to December 7th to watch those. So check that out as well. Okay.
They were fantastic.
Yeah.
I have to catch up with the ones I missed.
Oh, so Amanda says there's no Friday date night. Assume it was moved to the following week.
There was one yesterday.
Oh, maybe was I reading the wrong week? Oh well, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Anyways, thank you for clarifying that. Okay, so maybe it probably was moved to the next week. Anyways, thank you for joining us this week, and we will see you all next week. Have a great week.
Add those categories to your family members.
Absolutely.
Get those society categories added.
See you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.